Assalamu alaikum. The Quran is not merely a sacred text. It's the final divine revelation, a living guidance meant for all humanity until the end of time. But one question inevitably arises. How do we know that the Quran we recite today is exactly the same as the one revealed to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ more than 1400 years ago? Throughout history, critics have raised doubts, claiming verses may have been lost, altered, or inserted. But the Quran itself responds to these doubts with unmatched clarity. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Indeed, we have sent down the reminder, and indeed we will preserve it. This verse is not a claim, it's a divine guarantee. God has pledged to protect the Quran from distortion in every form: physical, linguistic, spiritual, and conceptual. In today's episode of Reflection, we explore what does it mean for the Quran to be protected? How does Tafsir al-Mīzān explain this promise? And what role have the Ahlul Bayt and the community played in safeguarding it? The Quran identifies itself as dhikr, the reminder. It's not merely a record of the past, but a living presence in the world. According to Allamah Tabataba'i, this promise of preservation is not limited to the physical pages it encompasses. The clarity of the Quran's message, its spiritual relevance across centuries, and its guidance remaining untouched by cultural or political interference. This divine safeguarding is ongoing. The Quran does not fade with time, it grows with the seeker. So if we reflect for a moment, if God has promised to preserve the Quran, what confidence should that give us in its guidance today? You see, the Quran is unique among scriptures. It was revealed gradually over 23 years amidst battles, migrations, peace treaties, and political revolutions. And yet, it is coherent. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. Do they not reflect upon the Quran? Had it been from other than God, they would have found much contradiction in it. Allamah Ṭabāṭabāʻī argues that any human authored document written over 2 decades would show inconsistencies. Yet the Quran exhibits thematic unity, philosophical depth, and legal precision. The absence of contradiction is not merely an intellectual point. In fact, it's a sign of divine authorship. So as we reflect upon this, let's ask this: if human speech changes with time and context, what does the Quran's consistency say about its divine source? One of the most powerful proofs of preservation is found within the structure of the Quran itself. قُلْ لَإِنِ اجْتَمَعْتِ الْإِنسُ وَالْجِنُّ عَلَىٰ أَنْ يَأْتُوا بِمِثْلِ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لَا يَأْتُونَ بِمِثْلِهِ. Say, if all humans and jinn gathered together to produce something like this Quran, they could not produce its like. Allamah Ṭabāṭabāʻī explains that even the smallest alteration would disrupt its rhythm, coherence, and eloquence. The Quran is so stylistically unique that it resists imitation and thereby resists distortion. Let's reflect on this. If the Quran cannot be imitated by humans or jinn, what kind of force must have authored it? Unlike other religious texts, the Quran has been memorized in full by millions since its inception. بَلْ هُوَ آيَاتٌ بَيِّنَاتٌ فِي صُدُورِ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ. Rather, it is clear signs in the hearts of those who have been given knowledge. Allamah Ṭabāṭabāʻī emphasizes that the oral tradition of the Quran is a living transmission. Even today, a child in Canada and a scholar in Cairo can recite the same verse letter for letter. No printing press, empire, or institution can compete with the power of the human heart safeguarding revelation. Let's reflect on this. How does the act of memorizing the Quran become a form of worship and of protection? The Prophet did not leave the Quran on its own. He entrusted it to the Ahlul Bayt, his family, who became its interpreters and protectors. Inni tarikun fikum al-Thaqalayn, kitabullahi wa itrati. Indeed, I'm leaving among you 2 weighty things, the book of God and my progeny. Allamah Ṭabāṭabāʻī underscores that the Ahlul Bayt ensured that the correct meanings of the verses were not lost. They embodied the Quran, living its ethics, explaining its subtleties, and protecting it from misinterpretation. Let's reflect on this for a moment. If the the Qur'an and the Ahlul Bayt are inseparable, how can we reconnect with both in our spiritual journey? Throughout history, some have alleged that the Qur'an was altered. Allamah Tabataba'i responds with clarity and confidence. 3 claims are refuted: missing or added verses. No chain of narration, manuscript, or community ever confirmed such claims. On the subject of variations in early codices, these were personal notes, dialectical spellings, or marginal comments, not divergent texts. On the abrogation confusion, verses abrogated in law were still preserved in recitation, maintaining their spiritual relevance. And in every case, the historical record affirms what the Quran promised: we will preserve it. As we reflect on this, what do these refutations tell us about the rigor and reliability of Islamic scholarship? The Quran's preservation is not simply a historical fact. It is a spiritual miracle. It has remained unbroken, unaltered, and unmatched for over 14 centuries. Every word we recite today was recited by the Prophet. Every verse memorized today is a continuation of the divine conversation. In next week's episode, we will explore certainty and mystery, decisive and ambiguous verses in the Quran. We'll reflect on how the Quran balances clarity and depth, and how Tafsir al-Mīzān interpret verses that are open to layered meanings. So if you enjoyed this week's episode, consider subscribing. Why not? Reflect and share your thoughts. See you in the next episode of Reflection. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.